how to understanding really how Adobe InDesign works as far as how you put things together. So we went over the toolbar. We talked about how choosing a different tool affects the menu bar. We talked about setting up the workspace, and we talked about panels. These are panels, and anytime that you have a question, you more than likely come up to Window and find a panel that you need. So you see right here all these boxes. You see text boxes, you see picture boxes. These are all frames. Okay, so you need a frame in order to build your document. So you need a text frame, you need a picture frame. Now the way InDesign it is set up, if you come over here to the toolbar and you click on the rectangle frame tool, I'm going to zoom out to show you this. So you come out here and create a box. Because this is a picture box, it has an X on it. If you hold and click, every time you see a little arrow here, you have to hold and click. You see that you can create an ellipse frame tool or a polygon frame tool. You can move this box around. I know we covered a little bit of that when we covered the tools. If you're on the selection tool, you can fix the height and the width. If you want to size down, you could grab from the corner and just size down. Then you also have this rectangle tool down here. Same thing, but you notice that this one does not have an X. You can, usually this could be your color box, and it just kind of again depends what you work. So let's say that you put a fill on here, and if you remember how we did a fill, you click right here, you have a white square with a diagonal red line, or you can see it up here too as well. You double click on that, and let's just choose the color pink and put it in there. Now, just because it doesn't have an X does not mean that it cannot become a picture box. And you can put a picture in it. The same thing with this. They interchange back and forth. So it just kind of depends what you want. So if you do a picture box and you want to make it a color box, you can go ahead and do that. If I take my hand tool and scoot over to the right here. So look what's happening here. Here there's one large picture box. And you notice this boxes, this frames, every single frame has 8 points. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Here you see this yellow one because it's overlapping with the other one. So if I wanted to make this a little shorter, and this also has a transparency, which I'll show you in a little bit here. You want to make this a little shorter, you can just go ahead and move that up to that. And then this, you can see, let me go ahead and show, and sometimes, if you don't remember what something is, you can use your help tool. And for the most part, I know where to find everything, but I know the tool that I'm looking for. I just don't remember exactly where it's at. I can go through all of the menu items to try to find it, or I can go under Help and do a search. And I'll show you here 1 second after the ball starts spinning. Okay, So if you go to the, see, I started typing transparency. So you can go, let's just go ahead and keep it simple. Let's just go under effects for now. So you go to object, effects, transparency. And you'll see this. And this is what I was talking about. These boxes have a transparency. That's why you see the color red, because they're overlapping. So if I were going to do, and this has a 50%, and here I'm going to show you. So this is how you get this effect. So if I come in here, and let's say I'm going to bring this paint box, okay? When you look at this pink box, if we open up the colors, I can go up to here, under color, see that color palette, or I can go up to window and choose color. Okay, and I will see that color also has gradient and swatches. Okay, and we'll talk about swatches. So here's the swatch of this. So these are the colors that are in this document right now. So if I go over here, and this color right now is at 100%, and you can see it on here because it says 100% on the tint. Okay, if you click on this other, the tint is also 100%. The tint is not transparency. So when you click on this, you see 100% tint of this color. When you take down the tint, that's like 48% of that color. It's not the same thing, and it's not a transparency. You kind of have to keep those separate. So if you go up to object and effects and transparency, right here, let me click on the right one, on this one. Object, you have make sure that you're on the right frame. Okay, effects, transparency. See the difference? It's 100%. So let's say I'm going to put that 54%. And I click on this button right here for preview. So you can see here how this is 100% tint, which is a filter of that color, but yet it's 50% transparency on that. Say that's what I want to do, and I click OK. When I take this and put it, let's say on top of it, let's say that I want to put it like right here, so you can see kind of what it does. And I'm going to go up to preview and do overprint view, so I don't have to see the blue lines. And there's also a black outline. If you think you see a black outline, you do. And one of the ways to double check that is you click on here and look at that. There's a black stroke. So you want to go ahead and just come over here where it says the stroke black, put 0 on here, and it will take it off. Let's see what it's doing over here. Now the other thing that's telling you is like right now it's an RGB. It is an RGB transparency fill, which RGB means red, green, and black. And we will cover that later. So this is how they create. I just wanted to show you how they created this effect. I'm going to go ahead and delete this. Okay. Now, how do you bring a picture? So you have two options of creating a picture frame. One of them is, like they did here, they already knew what size frame they wanted to use and putting the frame in here. And then what they did, so let's say that we choose the frame. Okay, and then I go to File, Place, or Command D on the Mac. Okay, and let's say I find a picture. I'll use this for now. Okay, you know that you want this picture in this frame here. And let's say that this is the size you want it. Obviously, it's a book cover, so that's not a good example, but you get the idea. Okay, and you place it where you want it. Let's say that you want to go ahead and keep the frame the same, but you want to increase the size of the photo. So you come into your direct selection tool, you click on that, click on this and see this is the actual size of the photo. And it says here 100%. So let's say I wanted to go up to like 110 or maybe 125. And then what I want to do, I want to center that within that text box. Then I'm going to go to Object, Fitting, Center Content. So if I click off of here, again, selection tool, this is the size of the box. If I select the direct selection tool, this is actually the size of the picture, but this is where I want my picture. That is one way to do a picture. The other way, let me go ahead and delete this. I'm not going to create a picture frame here. Watch what happens when I just go to File, Place. And I find the image. Let's see, this looks like it was my daughter's at some point. But okay, let's find the image. And I click Open. See what happens? I'm not clicking on my mouse. It's basically telling you, I have this picture, where do you want me to put it? So let's say I click on here. So I click, and it brings that picture in at 100%. This is the size of the picture. So there's two ways of doing it. One of them is like you tell InDesign where you want to place that object, and then the other way is you just want to bring in the photo and then figure out later. That's also okay to do. Okay, let's talk about the text. If you see right here what they did, they have a box for a headline and they have a box for the body copy. Same thing here. It's more like a subhead, but you get the idea. That header, let's call it a header. Header 1 here, header 2 here, and then this is what they did. They broke the boxes to individual boxes, and this is one big box. Okay, so one of the things that you have to remember when you're designing something, and just gonna look at magazines, and the best thing that you can do is research on any type of assignment that you're gonna be working on. How much information is gonna go here? Does the information need to be edited? And what is better to do? Is it better to do one big paragraph with long lines? Remember that can be kind of hard to do, kind of hard to read. Or is it better to do columns? If you notice how the newspaper is, that's 3 columns usually. And sometimes they break it up into like 2 columns and one big paragraph. Also, whatever makes it easier to read. So what you're doing with InDesign, or what you're doing with design, what you're basically finding solutions to make it easier for the reader. Usually, I'm not a fan of paragraphs with long text like this, but in this case, it actually works really well because there's not a lot of information here, and the box is the same thing. It's the same. The placement is the same as the headline too, and again, it's short information. So one of the things that I need you to pay attention to is the alignment of here. So if I take this to, I'm going to turn off the overprint preview. Okay, there's no guides that show this, but I can guarantee you that the guides were used to lay this out. Remember what I told you about rulers? If you go to View, Extras, see, let's find the rulers. Ruler guides. So you can go to Layout, Ruler Guides. Or you can just literally go Command R or Option R, and you get your rulers here. Okay, so this, come up with this the selection tool and come right over the ruler and bring this over. I can look what this ruler is. I can guarantee your ruler was used. Check out the cleanliness of this. Check out the spacing between the header and the information is exactly the same. So I guarantee you that once they decided where to put the headers, in order to align this one, they brought out rulers. And also what they did, they probably did the exact same thing for this. Now, if you feel how these are snapping, it is because if you go under View and Grids and Guides, you see how it says Log Column Guides, Snap to Guides, and Smart Guides. And we'll cover those, so you're just gonna keep that in mind. Okay, so what they did here on the text, they just kind of like the picture frame. If you do a test, just grab your text tool. You can create a box, by the way. I've done both, basically. You can create a box, give it information here, grab your text tool, get the cursor in there, and put in your information. You can do that. Or, if you're not sure where your box is going to go, you can take your text tool and create a box with your text tool. And also, just remember that that box has flexibility. Then you can come in here, put it to that size. Let's say I can come in here. I'm going to select all. And then I'm going to do select all, which is Command A. And then I'm going to do copy. And then I'm going to go here in this box. And I'm going to do paste. And so if you can pretend that I'm doing that from scratch. Then I'm going to come in here and put in that box in there. And there it is. Beautiful, right? So the main thing that I want you to know here is that InDesign works in frames. You're going to be creating just frames for anything that you lay out. You still have a lot of flexibility. But this is why it's also very important that your layouts, that whatever you're going to design, let's say you're going to design a brochure or a postcard, that you always do thumbnails before actually jumping in this. So let me know if you have any questions. Thank you. Bye.